In August 2005, the rugged terrain of Yell Mountain in Provo, Utah, was a popular playground for local college students. Sitting right next to the BYU campus, the mountain offered plenty of standard hiking trails. But scattered among the local student population were rumors of a hidden challenge, a secret underground system nicknamed Gollum's Cave. Reaching the inner cavern required explorers to navigate a flooded, pitch-black system covered in a foot of freezing water. This diagram shows the physical choke point standing between explorers and the secret dry chamber. To get inside, you had to lower your body through an 18 by 24-inch submerged hole in the rock, hold your breath, and swim 15 feet in complete darkness. Early in the morning on August 17th, 4 healthy friends ranging in age from 18 to 28 decided to take on the challenge. With a single flashlight, they lowered themselves into the freezing water and successfully completed the 15-foot swim into the hidden chamber. Hours later, authorities recovered their bodies. All 4 of them were dead. They had drowned in that exact same 15-foot stretch of water, stacked in a line, one directly behind the other. How was it physically possible for 4 strong, capable swimmers to all drown simultaneously in a space shorter than a parked car? To understand the mechanics of this tragedy, we have to pause the timeline and map out the cave itself. The space hid 2 specific variables that made survival practically impossible. The first variable is the tunnel's geometry. Looking at this top-down schematic of the underwater passage, we can see a fatal structural flaw. The path back to the exit hole was not a straight shot. There was a deceptive 4-foot dead end extending directly past the actual opening. A swimmer returning through the dark, feeling blindly along the ceiling for the way out, would naturally trace this path. The geometry guides them right past the true exit and traps them against a solid wall of rock. The second variable is the chemistry. Cavers refer to heavily depleted, toxic atmospheric conditions as bad air. In a fully closed-off environment, oxygen gets consumed and lethal gases take its place. This cross-section of the inner chamber reveals the invisible threat. Because the water was completely stagnant and there was zero airflow, natural limestone erosion and previously burned candles had silently dropped the oxygen level from a normal 21% down to a lethal 10 to 12%. Meanwhile, heavy carbon dioxide pooled directly at the water level. Before the 4 friends even realized they were in a survival situation, the cave's deceptive architecture and highly toxic atmosphere had perfectly aligned to strip away their physical and mental capacities. Dropping back into the timeline, Jennifer, Ariel, Blake, and Scott arrived in the secret chamber. After swimming through the freezing tunnel, their hearts were racing, and they were heavily adrenalized. As soon as their faces broke the surface of the water, they naturally took deep, heaving breaths of relief. But they were pulling in the dense, invisible layer of concentrated carbon dioxide. Their physiological collapse was immediate. Breathing air with only 10% oxygen slashes a person's breath-holding capacity to roughly 60 seconds. Hypoxia quickly set in, degrading their orientation, motor skills, and critical thinking. Jennifer was the first to realize they needed to get out. She dove back into the dark water, but suffocating and confused, she fell victim to the cave's geometry. She overshot the exit hole, hit the 4-foot dead end, and drowned. The other 3 friends were left completely in the dark. Stuck in the inner chamber and breathing suffocating air, they had no idea Jennifer was already dead. About 30 to 60 seconds later, Ariel made her attempt. With the heavy carbon dioxide doubling her respiration rate, she dove into the freezing tunnel, desperate for fresh air. This cross-section diagram shows the fatal bottleneck. The passage was only 2 feet wide. As Ariel swam forward in the pitch black, she physically collided with Jennifer's unconscious body, which was now acting as a complete plug in the narrow tube. It was physically impossible for Ariel to push past her friend. Unable to move forward and lacking the air or space to retreat backward, she succumbed to the panic and drowned right behind Jennifer. Back in the chamber, Blake and Scott had been suffering the toxic air even longer. Blind and highly disoriented, they sequentially followed Ariel into the water, swimming headfirst into the exact same impassable human roadblock. An invisible atmospheric poison, and a 2-foot-wide physical choke point had combined to turn a simple 15-foot swim into a perfectly engineered, cascading death trap. Outside the cave, a fifth friend named Joseph had been waiting. After sitting alone in the dark for nearly an hour with no sign of the group, he realized something was terribly wrong and called the police at 6:25 a.m. The subsequent rescue operation proved just how dangerous the cave truly was. To safely enter the tunnel without succumbing to the bad air themselves, authorities had to physically pump fresh oxygen into the space while actively pumping the water out. As the water level finally receded, the grim reality was revealed. Rescuers found Jennifer floating just inside the tunnel. Ariel, Blake, and Scott were stacked tightly together right behind her, all still facing toward the exit. Following the recovery of the bodies, the authorities took extreme measures to ensure this wouldn't happen again. The entrance was filled entirely with concrete, permanently erasing Gollum's Cave from the map. Nature's deadliest environments rarely look like roaring rapids or massive plunging cliffs. Often the most dangerous variables are completely invisible. In extreme, confined spaces, human bravery, planning, and peak physical fitness are instantly nullified the moment the chemistry of the air turns against you. It is a quiet, suffocating reminder of the fragile limits of human survival.